Hello everyone and welcome on back into the barracks. Today is the long-awaited video, an update to my Astrologian guide. That was an hour long with my Savage rating healing guide for Astrologian. For this one, I thought instead of showing you guys how I do it in real time, it'd be best to show you how I do it in Savage from a live stream. If you guys don't know, I stream every Wednesday and Thursday my statics progression on Pandemonium Savage. The ones that I will be showing you guys today is P2S, because I think there's a lot more healing in this one than P1. And also P3 with one of our probably better pulls. Where we got to, I think, FOA after Fountain of Fire. I want to show you guys that pull as well and what I've done in P3S's terms of healing. If you guys also don't know, my co-healer is a Sage. So it's felt really good to heal with the Sage. Scholar is good too when I have a proper Scholar. We don't want to get into my past drama of my previous co-healer, but I have a really awesome co-healer. He plays a Sage, and I don't know if he's gonna play Scholar. He might play Scholar soon, but for right now, he's a Sage. And I really liked healing with Sage. It felt really good to heal with the Sage. But we're here to analyze what I do with Astro in P2. So let's just go ahead and start the poll. So just a disclaimer, I will be going over the opener in game with you guys as I hit a training dummy. I'm just gonna do the opener. I'm not really gonna do like the whole thing, because honestly our DPS rotation really is Malefic, Combust, Malefic. You know and if you get Lord of Crowns on your crown play, Lord of Crowns after you cast Malefic, because it's a off GCD, so when you play Lord of Crowns, many of your cards, they're off GCD while your Malefic is on global cooldown. So, you know, once you cast them, you might see me too if I did Lord of Crowns. But I've been weave my cards in between GCDs unless I'm healing, then I kind of just throw them out. But whenever I'm DPS, I try and weave my cards in between DPS casts. So that's what I try and do. I'm not perfect at it, by all means. My rotation, and especially my Astro Opener is so janky, and I will show you guys that when I go and hit a training dummy. But for now, we're just looking at the gameplay from my static. So, like I said, just a disclaimer. My opener is very janky, and it's not perfect. And I will show you guys, like, when we go to actually do the opener, I will show you guys the opener picture to go by from the balance Discord, but like I said, it is not perfect. I am also melding. For anybody who wants to know about my melds, I am doing the spell speed route. I actually really like it than doing the crit direct hit. I actually really like doing the spell speed. I feel like I'm getting things off quicker than just having crit and direct hit. I feel like my Malefic is like going out a lot faster than it normally would, so I am melding spell speed. You do not have to. There's so many different Astro meld guides in the balance Discord. And if you're not in the balance Discord, all you gotta do is go on Google, search up the balance Discord, and they'll have a link for you. Definitely get in there if you want to do endgame and get better and understand your class, because there's so many resources in that balance Discord for every single class you can think of. You need to know how to do your opener for a dancer. You got it. You need to do your opener for Astro. You got it. You need meld. You need your bis. It's all in the balance Discord. So, what I do is based off my research and balance. So, get in that Discord if you guys want to have more tangible ways to learn about Astro. It's just how I play. You don't necessarily have to do it how I play. Also, for Savage rating, my food of choice, as per, of course, the balance Discord, for Astrologians is the Thavnarian Chai Tea. High Thavnarian Chai Tea, something like that. High quality, of course. You always gotta high quality it. And I also use grade 6 mind tinctures. And if I'm prodigy and I really need that mana, I do have super ethers available if I really need it, but most of the time for Astros I don't. Because of Astrogen, and you regen mana from your card, from when you draw a card, all that happy goodness. So, very rare do I have to ever use that. But yeah, let's just go ahead and see how it goes. This is the one we did clear on, so you'll see the pull start to finish. With hopefully, I don't remember if we've had any deaths in this one. I don't know if I'm late on my pot. I might have been late on my pot. But usually around, so the opener for us starts around like 5 seconds. I will usually, if I need my star right away, I will plant my star first. If not, I plant it like a second somewhere in between my opener if I need it. Usually it's on P1S, I usually do that, like I'll delay my star. But for the opener, yeah, I remembered the pot. And I planted my star, and then I started casting. Usually you want to plant the star a little bit before you start casting. The opener, you genuinely want to do Malefic, Lightspeed, Combust, and if you didn't already have a card drew, you always want to have a card drew as soon as you resurrect from a wipe, or we get into the instance. That way, when the pull starts, you have 2 charges of your draw. That means you can give cards to 3 different people. So I usually start off with whatever card I get, whether it be for melee or for melee or for ranged. I will usually start with that. I cast my Malefic, I go into Combust, and then this is where I get a little bit janky with the opener. I drew again. I did my divination, so usually on the second draw, it's either you do the draw the second time, you cast Malefic with Lightspeed, and then you do divination, and then your Lord of Crowns, or crown play. I sometimes it gets, like I said, I'm not perfect at the opener all the time, but usually that's how you want to do it, and then you go back Malefic, draw a card, throw it on someone, and I hit this down perfectly. I pop Astrogen, and because this is such a big AoE time, that is why I have Star out immediately. That way, after this first AoE goes off, I pop Star. Also, Star does good damage, so that's another reason why Astros will use it in their opener, because Star does good damage, and you'll see that in P3. So that's another reason why it's part of your opener, and why people put it down first, for damage. So in this one, me and my co-healer have, set tanks we heal. So, my co-healer, it's personal, he is a sage, he focuses on our main tank Koba, and I focus on the off tank Eris whenever they do tank pushes. It's really more prevalent in P3. But we just do that here too. It's just consistently. That way, we're not both trying to overheal the damn tank. I usually will put, my, I forget the damn name for this again. The one that gives you a bubble, that gives the tank a bubble and a little bit of a shield, and also regens at the end of the timer. I forgot what I think it starts with an E. I give that to Eris most of the time, the off tank, whenever there's a tank buster. So that's what I normally do. And then in between all of like the nonsense, whenever it's not like a healing, here before Sewage Deluge, which is like the big AoE from Hippocampus, I pop Macro. Because it's so fucking much damage, and it's just easier to have Macro to pretty much negate all of the damage. Sewage Deluge goes off. Immediately after it goes off, I pop Macro, and look at that. We are back from, what was it, a little bit under, he had a humongous shield at that time, so we weren't really all that, was it necessary to have Macro there? No. But, that's because it's personal also popped Panheima, which we all know Panheima is stupidly broken, just like Macro. So he had like a shit ton of shields, and I popped Macro. Now, did we need it at this point? No, but I already used it. I'm gonna keep using it that way. It's what I've been doing. I'm still gonna pop Macro, so. Or this is before Macro. Sorry, I went too far back. What was it when we hit Sewage Sludge? How much damage did we take? Did I use Macro? I'm going way too far back. Again. Is it here? Yeah. Okay, let's see how much we take for this. So he pops Panheima. It's not too big. So yeah, we're all below half. And then Macro, along with his Panheima, which will also pop a heal too, brings back to full. That is how stupid Macrocosmos is broken. Like I said in my Astro Guide, originally, Macrocosmos is fucking broken. And it is. That's all of that in like what a star heals doubled, pretty much. That's how Macro is. Of course, we're in between phases. I think we're about to get not in between phases, but we're in between mechanics. So I DPS as much as I can. Combust, Malefic. I'm holding on to my Lady of the Crowns when I need it. If it was Lord of the Crowns, I would have already used it. I try and use Lady before my next Crown Play comes off cooldown, or sometimes I push the button by accident, thinking I used it, and then it's the same thing. So I wasted a CD there. For this one, so for this Taint Buster, or for this mechanic, for Coherence, not Taint Buster, for Coherence, there are some things that I do for this specific mechanic. So what I try and do, is, so our off tank will be up front. He has wings. I put down, as soon as I see the tether, for our main tank to go grab for Coherence, I put down my star. And, of course, throwing out cards in between, as per usual, it's normal. Here is when I pop, or usually is when I pop, yeah, I was a little bit late. I didn't even bother doing it because it wasn't necessary, because I saw he had, like, my stage had so much shit on it, there was no need for me to even pop my bubble. But for a while, I was using my bubble here to also mitigate some damage as well. But this is when I would pop star, and if we needed, I'd pop, I would pop Lady of the Crowns, but he had, like, dots on us, so I didn't even bother. Yeah, this is when I pop Lady of the Crowns. So now it's back to DPSing for a bit. Of course, throwing cards out as I go. Astrodyne when it's up, and then with Knockback. Knockback, when it comes to this mechanic, it varies what I decide to do. It, again, depends on what my Sage partner has up. So this one I decided to pop, I am blanking all the names right now. But Horoscope. I popped Horoscope. Sorry, I'm horrible with ability names. I popped Horoscope for this one, and I popped a regen as well to mitigate some damage. He had shields, so it was fine. And then after it went off, I would do that, and this is when I would let the regens just heal us back up, because it's fine. Nothing immediately coming after that. So then we have this Predatory Avarice, just putting the dots on us, throwing out more cards. I did a lot of Lady of the Crowns, more than I ever do Lord of the Crowns, so I can't really show you what I mean by when I will use my cards, especially Lord of the Crowns after my Malefic. For this mechanic, I kind of just use whatever I have off cooldown. Nothing huge. I don't need to pop neutral set yet. For this, it's not that big of a deal. For this one, I would probably just pop, my instant regen, and maybe a Lady of the Crowns. Yep, I popped Lady of the Crowns, and he had so many regens, I didn't even need to pop my other instant regen ability, so I wasn't really worried about it. For the split tethers, if I am timing this right, and sometimes I don't, but if I time this right, I usually pop an Earthly Star here. For any time there's big mechanic coming, or I did some new damage and also did some damage on the boss here with it. For this one, we did about, I don't know, half normally. For this particular fight. So that's normally what we do here. What I do here is I just pop the star. We splurt together, I think, in a minute. Yep, there we go. We splurt, and then that's when I pop star. It just is easier. He also had like a regen for us as well, so you know we were covered. It was fine. I made sure I popped. Yep. What was it? I can't remember the damn name. Hold on. Let me go back to that because I want to know what it's called. So I completely keep forgetting what it's called. Yep. Splurt, Earthly Star, blah, blah, blah. We saw this. Exaltation. Yes. That's what I use on the off tanks. That's what I use on my designated tank to heal. I use Exaltation a lot for tank busters. Sometimes I'll throw the shield on there too if I need it. Ooh, I got a little of the crown. So that time, if you guys didn't see that, let me back it up for a minute. When we get to the part, when we get back to that part, because I go bad and it's like 2 minutes behind. As you can see, right now everything is on a GCD. I used one more Malefic and I popped more crowns while my other main ability, my GCD abilities were coming back up. So that is what you want to do. You want to always try and time where you're using Malefic and you're on global cooldown, and when you're if you get Lord of the Crowns, pop it. So you usually I try and hang on to the Lady Crowns when I need it. And whenever I get Lord of the Crowns, I use it pretty much after I use Malefic. As soon as I cast one Malefic, Lord of the Crowns, and then back to Malefic. We got Murky Depths. When Murky Depths is coming around, like I said, I just kind of use whatever I feel like we need. He used Panheima here. I just popped Opposition, so. Or whatever that, I think that was called Opposition. Now we have Sewage Loot. It's another macro time! Woo! Macro! This time we didn't take as much damage because of all the shields, but, you know, I already popped it. I'm gonna use it. So. And of course, more DPS. Shockwave. More of the Surecast. Don't need to deal with the not bat bullshit. And this is when we get our wonderful numbers. I take a minute to realize where I am for a minute. When it comes to this, like I said, I try this on the majority of the pulls. Sometimes it's not always going to be consistent. But I do try and get Earthly Star up for this because we're also spread out. And it's a shit ton of damage, as you can see. Full health to below half to like a quarter health. Yeah, that's a shit ton of damage. He hurts a lot. So usually after he does it or in the middle of him doing this, my star will go off and now we're pretty much decent. So, Lord of the Crowns! Yay! And usually this is when I would pop. I usually pop Divination on cooldown because that's usually when everybody else's cooldown is also up for like, all the other damaging abilities like Arcane Crest or whatever else we have. It's up. Everyone's cooldowns are up, so I pop Divination on cooldown. And pots are up usually by then. Very rarely do I ever hold on to Divination unless there's like a mechanic coming that we can't target the boss, so. Or there's like a whole bunch of different mechanics. And throughout the fight, you know, Malefic, Combust, Astrodyne, throwing cards out, it's all that. For this wonderful mechanic, I don't know if I put Star down here or if I use something else to do some I'd heal up. Cause I usually let my Sage heal this up because he has more coverage than I do. And he also mitigates. Yeah, I put up a regen for people who are near me at least, and I just start spot healing people that were really, really low. And I can't reach him like all the way. So I couldn't heal Retson. I think Retson died here. And she was like, oh, what happened? I just couldn't get to you, and I don't think he could either. So it was just an unfortunate. That does happen. It's unfortunate. It sucks because you feel bad when you let your DPS die by accident. But at that time, it's just I wasn't anywhere near her, and I don't think he had anything for her either. It's just an unfortunate event that happened, and I should have used Star there, but I'm always so bad at timing it because that mechanic is like one goes off, and by the time one goes off, the stars are already done, so I can't. I should use Star there, and I should use Horoscope or something like that there, and sometimes I do, but sometimes in the moment I don't think about it, and unfortunate events happen like that. It happens. We're not all perfect, you know. And I never claim to play perfectly every single pull. I do like the major things that need to be consistently, and sometimes during other times I forget, and it happens. So I'm not a perfect raider. I'm sorry. it happens. So, I timed that star horribly. I wanted that to go off during this part, and it went off a few seconds beforehand. So, like I said, that's when I would just, he used Pantheima, and I'm like, alright, well, I don't need to do anything. So, my unfortunately timed star is unfortunately untimed. More cards, more damaging. Again, just like always DPS whenever there's some in-between mechanics. And as an Astro, like in the middle of raid, and I don't know if anybody has noticed this during this, I am not perfect at doing like getting all my seals 3 of a kind. I'm not perfect at it. In the moment, I'm just kind of like trying to make sure I throw cards out on cooldown. So if you're wondering, like, is it really prominent to get 3 of a kind? If you want to try, by all means. But sometimes I just kind of like, if I don't get the perfect Astrodyne, I don't get the perfect Astrodyne. But it is what it is. So I tried this time. Hey, I did, and it happens, you know. It's just up to you if you want to try and redraw. Sometimes my RNG is shit, and it is even shittier when I do a redraw. So, you know, it's gonna be the same outcome sometimes. Another macro for Swedish Deluge, and we're back up to even above half, and usually my stage partner will finish it off. So, again, more DPS with combust and throwing cards out in between. This one is the dicey one. So this is the mechanic with P2 that gets a little bit dicey. With the smacks and also the coherence literally right after. So for this one, depending on if I am either going smacked first or stacking away from the people going smack, I will usually try and do a macrocosmo or a horoscope. Not a macrocosmo, it's already off cooldown. If I time my star right, my star will be up, and it will be on time. Haven't gotten to do that with the star. Like I said, I'm not always perfectly timed with those stars. So, if I'm going to smack, this one I was stacking, but if I'm going to smack, as soon as I get done colliding with the other person, I will try and haul my little butt back to where we're stacking. I pop light speed, and while I'm moving, I try and cast Helios and Aspected Helios until I can get back to someone, or better yet, I would cast Nocturnal Set, a neutral set, neutral set to put us a shield on for coherence. Because right after that, you have got to booty yourself at to stack, and you have to put it, because there's a fuck ton of damage. So that's what I did. This time I was stacking, but my stage partner, I think he had a shield already up for us to mitigate the damage, for coherence, so it worked out. But then we immediately stacked. I popped the horoscope, for the people who got collided, and then I think he put a shield and regen on, so we were fine. And then I popped neutral sect as well. Because I wanted to make sure we had enough health as well, and also shield. And then we just hit the boss's butt. In between all of that, he does a bit more AoE. We also had to run with some puddles. That one was never really all that scary, so. Yep, here comes the puddles. And then I think, yep, I had that go off, but didn't really need it. So another poorly timed Earth Star. What's new? When you're an Astro player, you're gonna get used to those because you're gonna time those things bad. And then, yep, we had the partner stats. I had a Lord Crown for this, ironically enough, and that was when I was cast off position. And I think he had something else up. Yeah, he popped one of his big cooldowns. Taint Busters, and then we killed the boss, and that was P2. That is how I heal P2S. Hippo is a lot of damage, but it's nowhere near compared to P3S. So let me find the one where we got to FOA. Alright, I found it. So, I finally found it, where we made it to, let's not find the beginning of it, on P3. It's a long fucking fight, let me tell you. Alright, I think this is the beginning of it. Alright, yeah, here we go. Alright. Beginning of the fight where we got past Fountain of Fire. So, we did it the night before too. I just couldn't find it in the other video, and I wasn't gonna keep doing it because I know we got to this point. So, opener, as per usual. I probably fuck it up a little bit, so no pot in this one because this is prodding still. If we got really close to the clearing, I would have potted, but not gonna clear. So. What I do in this one, there's a lot going on. So, throwing cards out, doing my opener, blah, blah, blah. Taint Busters going out so frequently. I use Exaltation so much. At the end of the fight, I also pop, because we have a lot of AoE going out, I pop Star. As soon as the AoE goes off, I pop Star, I pop Exaltation on the off tank, and we keep going. That's Taint Busters and AoE damage, as we've seen from the other fights. So, usually I will let the Exaltation dot go off and just let it heal them. Usually it does. Unless I need to pop like an Essential Identity or a thing, or a dot. The mechanics in this place sucks. I'm not gonna try and explain the mechanics. So, if you know, you know. If you don't, it sucks, let me tell you. For this part in particular, this is when you will see Earthly Star do a shit ton of damage. This is the time when it does a shit ton of damage. So, we get ready to plop our fires down in those squares. We move, we go to our numbers, and as soon as those spawn, I go ahead and pop Earthly Star. Or I put it down. So I go to my number, and I keep DPS on the boss as this goes out, while throwing in some opposition, Helios, Lydia the Crowns if I get it in, because it's a shit ton of damage while you're doing it. And then I pop Star, and look at all of that damage it did. Not only did it help kill some of those fires, but it's also killing mine with whomever I'm partnered with. And it's also doing a lot of damage to the ones around me. And sometimes I've gotten a crit on my Earthly Star, and it pretty much obliterated all of the fires before people started even DPSing it. It already obliterated it. So that is why I always time Earthly Star for that specific spot, or time, because it does a lot of damage to the Earthly. Not only does it help heal, so people can start DPSing, and so can me and my co-healer, but also because of the fact that it does a lot of damage. I just want to point out that is when you want to use Earthly Star for damage, also healing as well. So, it's both. More taint busters. This is when, if I remember, I don't know if I remembered, I did. I pop Macrocosmos for this part because not only are we getting taint busters, I don't put exaltation in anybody for this one. I just pop macro. So this time my co-healer was a scholar. This time instead of a sage. So, he's shielding, doing all that stuff, happy to stuff. And as soon as the AoE goes off, even if we're fine and the shield did hold through, I still use Macrocosmos. It's really, really easier for us to get back to full for these next fire bombs instead of just trying to use all different types of cooldowns. So I use Star for or Macrocosmos for it. There's also another point in the fight where I do specifically use Macrocosmos, and I won't get to that point. If we did. So I don't think we did with this one. But for FOA, when you have to, I'll explain when we get to that point. I think we're gonna die before it, but if you know what I'm talking about, you will know what I'm talking about. Just DPSing as per usual, throwing cards out, Astrodyne, all of that happy good stuff as you normally should be doing. Exaltation for tank busters, letting that heal the tank all the way to full. And then here comes more AoE. Oh wait, no, this is more fire bombs. Sorry, this is more fire bombs. Someone damage. I usually use essential divinity if they take a shit ton of damage. This one's where we had stacking pairs. So Shields Man covered us, but I also used a Lay of Crowns and also Opposition, and he popped some other stuff as well. So we were fine. For this part, I usually use Earthly Star. For in case there are some birds still up, it also does damage to them, and also to get us back up. Because usually during this, I try and focus on DPSing the birds down. Instead of healing everybody, I usually try and just keep an eye on my tank, and my co-healer will keep an eye on his tank, and I always focus on them instead of just start DPSing. This time I used the Lord of the Crown. I got a Lord of the Crowns, okay? And I went into that bird because I don't really know like the range of it. It's pretty wide range, but I just go in anyway to pop or Lord of the Crowns on it. So I just walked near it, and plus my star also took care of it too. So it was maybe a little bit of both. This one is a shit ton of damage. So I popped Horoscope. I think he used a whole bunch of like shields and heals. So we were fine. I usually also pop Horoscope because this one we're also so spread out that I need to. As we're so spread out from the bird damage, as you'll see. So go to your spots for your tethers. So I go by the bird. I start DPSing the bird a little bit as much as I can. And as soon as we get all done taking our damage, someone died. I popped Horoscope to dress up a little bit, and I had a swift cast rest somebody, of course. Tank was falling below health, so I tried to get him up. So the other tank, so I just tried to help as best as I can. Did I pop opposition? I did pop opposition, so I was mainly on this point. I'm trying to focus on getting everybody up before I start DPSing the bird, or my group's bird. Thankfully, we didn't wipe to that. Don't know how. This is when I just start popping everything. I pop Horoscope. I pop Neutral Set for shields. Because this next part is a lot of damage. I also, because we can still hit the boss at this point while he's doing Dead Rebirth, I also pop Divination on cooldown and give someone cards as well. This time I got Lord of the Crowns, so I use my Lord of the Crowns. And then I think this is where I don't use macro here, but I do have Star up. And this is when I use my Collective Unconscious to help mitigate some more damage, along with shields from my co-healer. And then Astro's popped, and I also, not Astro, I think my Earthly Star went off a little bit before the damage went out, so I had to use Opposition. If I'm timing it right, sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. If I timed it right, that would have been Earthly Star healed mostly, instead of me having to waste Opposition. Another exaltation on the tank. More just damage in between mechanics. And in this fight, particularly, we had not only just a lot of healing output, but we had to do mechanics in this one. Besides just being the stack bitches. So, did that mechanic. It's nothing too crazy to worry about. You point it out, you're fine. It's easy. And then, this is where we get to my healing mechanic. So for this one, the healers have to soak the towers that come up. So my co-healer gets the other side, I get one side. And then we have other things going on. I think I went out a bit too early for that because I thought it was coming up, but it's coming up soon. I just went a little bit too soon, so I popped that early start for nothing. But I try and pop for that specific mechanic. I try and pop the Earthly Star and the horoscope for the tower specifically. So I had to improvise on this one, and you can, and I'll explain why you can improvise on this one when it comes to your cooldowns, for at least for you. You spread. This is a lot of damage anyway, so I did want to have something popped anyway. We had a couple deaths. Try and get people back up before the mechanic comes out. And this is where Fountain of Fire begins. The lovely fucking time. I hate this really isn't bad for me. So this is where I have to go soak my tower. So I have to soak this tower. Tower, it's a circle. Whatever. Tower, circle, however you want to call it. In the guides, it always says tower. So this is the tower we have to go soak as healers. So we go from 1. It'll go off in a minute. And it brings you down to barely anything. And during this, we get a buff that ups our healing throughput. So, and you'll see in a minute, one aspected benefit, I think he also tested another cooldown as well to get him up. Both of that combined not only gave me a beefy ass shield, but one aspected benefit tick brought me back to full. Now I just soaked my other one. I cast aspected benefit back up to full in a minute. I just soaked my other tower. I hard cast a benefit, but I could have used aspected Helios too, or aspected benefit. Back up to full. I just one heal. I'm back up to full. Boom. There we go. Went down to barely nothing. Back to full. It's pretty sweet, I will say. You feel invincible while you're doing it. So that mechanic has been resolved. We did Fountain of Fire perfectly, which is great. He was still under the bed of the buff, and so was I. So his shield was huge. Normally that would do a shit ton of damage. That didn't barely do anything. So I love that little buff. That made me feel wonderful. Horoscope just to mitigate some more AoE damage. And then we have the other part. I think we're gonna wipe soon to this. But tank buffs, or tank, mechanic, buster, whatever. It's not this one. Yeah, Firestorms of Asmodeus, the FOA. This is a shit ton of damage. It's just, I'm still trying to figure this out some more. But at one point during FOA, I do use macro here, but I don't think it's gonna be shown in this pull. It's so crazy here. You have so much damage going out, and then I think it was a spread here, and we overlapped. But that was like the extent. So we got to pass this once, with barely any of us alive. Or did we get a healer LB here? I think it wouldn't have. I think he died, and then it wouldn't have mattered. Let me just play this out. I think we would have wiped here anyway. I think he healer LB'd. I just don't remember. He was trying to. Nope, he did. He healer LB'd. But we died anyway. Or at least 4 of us did. So, I don't think it's gonna be in this one. I think it's still doing the Elmo shit. With the fate in the puddles, and we have to run to around in a clockwork circle. Not much damage is going on unless you get clipped, but then you die. And then I think we got knocked back, and then yeah, we died. But after this, there is a mechanic where you have to, that utilizes macro to the utmost ridiculousness. where you have to point those little like teeth things. Instead of pointing them outwards, this time we have to point them inwards and like kill people with it. And for that one, before you even, I think it's before you start the mechanic, you pop macro and you let some people take the damage that they're supposed to. Which is you have to let them take the damage. If I popped macro too early, it wouldn't have mattered. But you're supposed to let people come down to death. And then what you would do is after you would come down to death, you have to quickly get them back up to full life because there's a mechanic right after that does a shit ton more damage. So you have to do something instantly. And the best way to do that is, you guessed it, Macrocosmos. So this fight in particular, people were telling me, especially my courier was telling me, that people were specifically, if you were a white mage, you weren't getting into P3S because they wanted a Astrologian for Macrocosmos, to the point where they would lock the last healing slot after you did out the shield healer in PF to be an Astro, because, and you guessed it, Macrocosmos is the easiest way to get people back up to full in a very short amount of time span, before the next mechanic. So it pays to be an Astro. White mages, eat your heart out. Not that I hate white mages. I just, it's funny how Macrocosmos can really be OP to the point where people actually prefer to have an Astrologian on a specific boss fight because of that ability. And white mages, eat your heart out, that's all I'm gonna say. But now, let's quickly jump into the opener. Here we are at a training dummy. So, now, like I will always say to you, your opener may not always be perfect. Why? Because the Astrologian opener is so janky. But I want to include this anyway because I'm trying to still improve on it, and I'm getting there with each passing pull and each time I practice. So, to reiterate what you have to do. So you want to draw your card first, right? Draw your card. I'm going to wait for it to get back because this is kind of like a raid opener bit. If you're doing this in a dungeon, don't you worry about your openers in dungeons because it does not matter. Just DPS and throw cards out and do what you gotta do. But when you're in a raid setting, probably not normal. Normal raids usually doesn't matter because they won't wait. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But like if you're doing extremes, you're doing savage content, what have you, this is your opener. So I will always pull I will pull a card as soon as I get into the instance because you're gonna sit there for a minute anyway. And then let's see if I can do pull timer. Pull timer 15. Nope, can't do that. Your pull timer will be full at 15 seconds. So down when you start to get to about, I'm gonna put my star somewhere I can like where it doesn't hit the other fucking dummy. Right about now, at around like 4-ish seconds. Yeah, go ahead and do that. You pop your tincture and you start pre-casting Malefic. Now you do light speed. And while you're doing that, you play your card. Malefic. Draw. Play. Divination, Minor Arcana. If it's a Lord, you play the Lord. And then I get another one of these, and then Astrodyne. And that is pretty much your opener. You can obviously weave in a little bit, and I'll post the picture for you all to see it more clearly, or kind of clearly. It's a little bit deflated. And there's also other, and obviously just keep your combust, all that, and that's your general rotation. Then you just go into general rotation, you know, You fall Malefic, you combust, you draw your card, you play your card off the GCD, and you place your star whenever you want. If you want to heal, if you want to damage, all that happy good stuff. So that is pretty much your opener, and I'll do it again. Once all my things come off cooldown, I'm just going to use this because I don't really need to worry about it. But yeah, that is your opener. You want to pop your star if you're using it with your opener. You don't absolutely always have to use it for your opener. And there's other variations of this opener if you want to try and optimize your cards, if you want to redraw, all that good stuff. There is that kind of optimization if you want to go a step further. I normally don't. Go away. I normally don't try and optimize my cards at the beginning of a fight because there's really just, there's no point to. You can, obviously, it gives you more damage if you get all 3 seals, but you're just not always going to be that lucky. And you're just not. In all honesty, you're not going to always be lucky you have 3 of a kind. So I'm just going to try and, like, just use all my seals just to get rid of this. I'm starting with 1 extra seal this time because I can't get rid of this. Unless I switch. Let me swap glasses real quick and then it will. Alright, there we go. But yeah. So I'll do this again. Like I said, it's not perfect. Of course, you can see the graphic. You can see how it's supposed to go. But that is pretty much your opener. You want to draw as soon as you get into the instance. If you want to have, like, the person who has the best opener, you can redraw that card you got. Like, say it was for a range, but your best DPS is that has, like, the most optimal opener is a melee, and you want a melee card. You can redraw for that. Pop your star, then your tincture. You want to start pre-casting your Malefic, not too much to where you're gonna pull the boss before the timer. You go into light speed, combust, play, and then draw. Malefic, play, and then draw. Malefic, divination, play, Malefic, minor arcana, and then Astrogen. Sometimes I'll just combine that a little bit because like I said, I'm not perfect at it, but that's kind of how I do the opener in my way. Like I said, I'm not the most optimal player, so, but this is how I do the opener. This is how I play the opener. But yeah, that's the opener. It's very, very janky. It's not just like a perfect opener. Some healers have just like a super duper easy opener. But for us, it's just really janky, and I hate it that it is. It's just a lot of weaving cards and other things and trying to remember to weave when. Sometimes for me, like, especially in the heat of the moment, I weave it too soon, and it happens. Don't always expect your opener to be perfect, and you don't absolutely have to try and play your opener to perfection, like it's explained on the Balance Discord. You want to try, but it's not a bad thing if it's not. Like, it's not going to hurt your overall DPS by 200 or 1,000 DPS if you don't perform your opener perfectly. It's just, that's not how it is. But again, we'll do it again. So, star, tincture, Malefic, light speed, combust, play, Malefic, play, Malefic, play, yeah, that, draw your card, I got that, and then, I want to do that, and Astrodyne, and then you just go into your base rotation, keeping your combust up, healing, Malefic, throwing cards out. You're just your basic, then you just go right into your basic Astro rotation, which doesn't feel as janky as your opener. But that is pretty much the opener. It's not horrible, it just feels janky with all the weaving, and it's not always perfectly weaving. Like, it's just a very, I don't like the Astro opener, but it's the opener. But yeah, that is pretty much my guide to Astrologian, I guess, complete in a way. If I ever feel like doing a how to play Astro in PvP, if I get good at PvP, if I even am into PvP when the new PvP system is in place, then maybe I'll do an update. But in terms of my Astro guides, I think that's pretty much all I can explain. If you want to see more Astrologian gameplay from me, definitely tune into my prod streams for Savage. In on Wednesdays and Thursdays, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll get a notification if you have post notifications on. You ring the bell. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Astrologian. I think the next healer I want to try and post a guide for is gonna be Sage. So keep an eye out for that whenever I have the opportunity to do it. But yeah, I hope this is helpful and explains some things to you on how to use your abilities in a raid setting. Obviously, I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect, but this is just how I play, and it works. And it's gotten me to at least almost clearing P3 and eventually clearing the tiers. So you know, it works in a way. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this helped you guys between this one and this one in terms of guides for Astrologians. And if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy XIV and other variety content and live streams. And like and comment if you guys have any more questions on Astrologian. If there's enough questions, maybe I'll do like a Q&A on how to better explain some daring questions you all may have. If not, you can always ask me those questions in live streams. I definitely don't mind answering them even when I'm not playing 14. If for anybody who wants to just have questions and you just can't wait, ask them. I don't mind. I want to help people as much as I can. I'm hoping these guides were as helpful to you guys. And that's really my main goal. Is just I want to help new players to Astrologian feel more confident in themselves and confident in understanding their class. And if you're new to healing, I can also post like a how to heal 101 guide. Maybe I'll do that. To help people. I just want to help people in the end. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all again in the Barretts very soon. Goodbye!